The first few weeks after moving out of Ejigune and into the Okonkwo mansion felt like a slow-burning nightmare for Izioma. Everything about her new life as Mrs. Adrian Okonkwo was designed to remind her that she didn't belong. From the way the maids side-eyed her with hidden giggles, to the way Adrian ignored her existence like she was just a piece of furniture left too close to his path. Every corner of the mansion whispered rejection. Even the marble floors seemed too polished for her feet. Adrian didn't speak to her unless absolutely necessary. He would come home late, sometimes not at all. When he was around, he barely looked at her. During business functions or family events, he made it clear she was nothing more than a box ticked on a family-imposed list. His coldness was precise, calculated, like he'd mastered the art of emotional starvation. Then came Pamela. She was stunning, flawless skin, high-fashion outfits, and the confidence of a woman who had been born into the upper class. Pamela made it her personal mission to destroy whatever fragments of self-worth Izioma had left. She would accidentally appear at the same places Izioma was dragged to, from brunches with Adrian's business associates to elite charity luncheons, always with a smug smirk and backhanded comments like, "Is that what they're wearing in Ajiguno now?" Or, "Oh, sweetie, that's not how you hold a wine glass. Let me help you before someone laughs." Izioma said nothing. She absorbed the insults like rain soaking into cloth. But instead of shrinking, she started transforming. Every evening, after enduring another day of stony silence from Adrian or another jab from Pamela, Izioma would retreat to her room and open her laptop. She enrolled in free business and etiquette courses. She read books on public speaking, fashion, and emotional intelligence. She practiced her posture in the mirror, watched YouTube tutorials on table manners, and took notes on how elite women carried themselves. She turned her humiliation into fuel. Mabel, the kind housekeeper, began to notice. "You're different these days," she said one morning while folding laundry. "Quieter, but stronger. It's in the way you walk now." Izioma gave a faint smile. "I'm preparing for the next version of myself." But Adrian, in his arrogance, noticed too, though he'd never admitted at first. One evening, they were invited to a corporate fundraiser. Adrian, dressed in a crisp tuxedo, glanced at Izioma as she entered the room in a sleek, deep blue gown Mabel helped tailor. He did a double take, but quickly masked his reaction with a sip of his drink. Throughout the night, Izioma charmed guests with quiet intelligence and polite conversation. When an investor questioned Adrian's figures during his speech, he stumbled. Izioma stepped in with calm, precise words that clarified the issue and won over the room. Everyone clapped. Adrian stared at her as they sat in the car afterward, silence thick between them. Finally, he said, "Where did you learn to do that?" She looked out the window. "I had to survive." He didn't respond. After that night, the tension between them shifted. He started asking about her day. Not every day, but often enough for her to notice. He knocked before entering shared spaces. He told the staff to treat her with respect. Even Chioma, who once giggled behind her back, now greeted her with awkward courtesy. Pamela didn't take it well. She began showing up more, pretending to need Adrian's help on urgent fashion deals. At one point, she walked into the mansion wearing a sheer designer dress and greeted Izioma with a fake smile. "You're still here? Wow. Thought you'd be gone by now." Izioma, unbothered, looked up from her book. "And I thought exes knew how to stay in the past." Pamela's face froze. Adrian, who overheard from the staircase, chuckled under his breath. That was the first time he openly defended Izioma in Pamela's presence. "Pamela, you're not welcome here uninvited," he said calmly. "And don't disrespect my wife." Pamela stood midut. The gesture shocked every, including Izioma. But she didn't let herself be fooled. She knew better than to believe one kind moment could erase months of cruelty. Still, cracks began to form in Adrian's stone facade. He started eating dinner at home more often. He asked her opinion on business decisions. One night, when she mentioned she was working on a small skincare product idea, using her mother's homemade recipes, he listened. "Let me know if you ever want investors," he said. "It's a good idea. Thanks," she replied, unsure how to feel. But then came the night that broke everything. It was a Sunday evening, 2 months before the contract was to end. Izioma had returned from visiting her mother at the hospital and was feeling hopeful Mama Izzy was stronger, healthier. As she entered the mansion, she heard laughter from the home theater room. Curious. She peeked in and froze. On the screen was Pamela, clearly unaware she was being filmed, sitting at a bar with one of Adrian's old friends. He said he could tame her in 6 months. Pamela laughed, called it a challenge, said he'd prove that not even a charity case could soften him, and then he'd walk away like it never happened. Izioma couldn't move. The video kept playing. Laughter. Insults. The friend joking, "Man, if you actually catch feelings for her, we'll all know you've gone soft." Izioma turned and left before the video ended. Her hands trembled as she climbed the stairs. She waited in her room, her body numb, until Adrian returned from the gym. She didn't shout. She didn't cry. "Was it true?" she asked. He looked up, confused. "What?" She handed him her phone. He watched the video, his expression turning to stone. "That video is old," he said slowly. "It was before we got married. I said stupid things. I didn't mean most of it, but you said it." He opened his mouth, then closed it. "I thought you were changing," she whispered. "I thought you saw me." "I do. Now I do." She shook her head. "You never saw me. You saw a challenge, an object, something to prove to your world that you're still in control. That's not true anymore." But it was. The silence between them was louder than any argument they could have had. That night, she packed her things again. This time, Adrian didn't try to stop her, but as she reached the gate, he ran after her. "Wait," he said breathlessly. "Don't leave like this." She looked at him, her eyes filled with unshed tears. "I already did." She left without taking any of the expensive things he once gave her, just her laptop, her notebooks, and the little file that contained her skincare formulas. She returned to her mother's hospital room and curled up beside her like she did as a child. Safe, but broken. Days passed. Adrian sent messages, dozens of them. He tried calling. She blocked him, but the pain lingered. Not because she missed him, but because she had let herself believe he was different. That beneath the arrogance was a man who could learn to love. She was wrong, or so she thought. Weeks later, as she sat on the hospital floor researching how to start a small skincare business on Instagram, a large anonymous transfer hit her account. Enough to launch her brand, enough to rent a studio space, and buy raw ingredients. There was no note, but she knew where it came from. She stared at the screen for a long time, and for the first time in months, she allowed herself to cry not because of pain, but because of confusion. Maybe he was changing. Maybe it was too late. Or maybe this was just the beginning. The studio she rented was a small, sunlit space on the second floor of a quiet plaza in Surulere. It wasn't glamorous, but it was hers. A white desk, 2 shelves, and a foldable table became her laboratory. She painted the walls pale lavender, placed a potted plant by the window, and began experimenting with her late grandmother's age-old skincare formulas recipes passed down through generations. Shea butter mixed with honey, turmeric blended with aloe vera Izioma brought each blend to life with precision and love. She called her brand Raw Bloom, a name that reminded her of herself. Rough, natural, unpolished, but blooming nonetheless. With the little money left after paying rent and purchasing ingredients, she ordered simple packaging, created a logo using Canva, and launched an Instagram page. She posted videos of herself mixing the products, telling stories about skin, self-worth, and starting from nothing. At first, only 10 people followed. But within 2 weeks, a popular natural beauty influencer reposted one of her reels. That's when things changed. Orders began to trickle in 3 one day, 5 the next. Comments came in from girls saying, "Your story gives me hope," or "I love how real you are." For the first time, Izioma wasn't defined by being Adrian's wife or the village girl social media mocked. She was a woman building something from scratch, something that had her name on it. Meanwhile, Adrian was spiraling. He tried to bury himself in work, but nothing felt the same. The mansion felt colder. The silence that once comforted him now echoed through every corridor like a punishment. The sight of her empty chair at the dining table felt like a missing puzzle piece he didn't know he needed until it was gone. He watched her progress online, quietly, from a distance. Every new product launch, every client review, every comment she left for her growing followers made his heart twist. She was thriving without him. Not just surviving thriving. It made him feel both proud and ashamed. He wanted to call, to show up, to explain. But he had done enough damage. Words would no longer be enough, so he made a quiet move. He reached out to a renowned beauty distributor owned that had refused to take Izioma's call earlier. He didn't tell her, just asked them to look again. to give her a chance. 3 days later, Izioma received a call from the distributor, asking to schedule a meeting. She almost screamed with joy. She dressed in her best white blouse and a pair of navy trousers, and walked into their office with her samples and her heart pounding. The meeting was a success. As she stepped out into the hot Lagos sun afterward, she turned her face to the sky and smiled for the first time in what felt like forever. She had earned this, with no billionaire name to back her, just her grit, her pain, and her purpose. That evening, as she packed new orders from the studio, she opened her DMs and found one message request from Adrian. It read simply, "Congratulations, Izioma. You're doing amazing. I'm proud of you. Always was." She stared at it for a long time. She didn't respond. Not yet. Instead, she turned off her phone, sealed another jar of her homemade glow balm, and whispered to herself, "This is only the beginning."
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more teachable and inspiring folk tales by Effie.